Today, we're peeling back the layers of what some might call justice served cold and politically flavored. Sidney Powell, the attorney who's been a thorn in the side of the establishment since forever, has accepted a plea deal in Fulton County. He pleaded to 6 counts of conspiracy to commit intentional interference with performance of election duties. They're all misdemeanors. Now, this may sound like a dire situation, but ladies and gentlemen, hold your horses. This is what we call a win for the defense. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. So there's an article written by Technofog headlined, "Prediction, Sidney Powell won't be cooperating against Trump." Now, if you're not familiar, Technofog is a writer for The Reactionary at Substack. Technofog was one of Dan Bongino's top sources through the Spygate saga. A lot of what he wrote in his 3 books, he got from Technofog. There's others, but Technofog was really good. So this writer is someone who gets the source documents needed for a story and is about 99% right all the time. You notice I'm not using gender when I refer to the writer, and it's not because Technofog is a dopey non-binary freak show, but because nobody knows who Technofog is. It could be a man or a woman, but it's someone who has access to the real information of everything that's gone on over the last, say, 6 years. If Technofog says Sidney Powell is not going to testify against Trump, then you can pretty much take that to the bank. Sidney Powell was staring down the barrel of 7 felony counts, serious charges with equally serious penalties. We're talking about up to 20 years in the slammer under George's RICO statute. But here's the clincher. She ended up with 6 years of probation, a fine that wouldn't buy you a decent used car, and a minuscule amount of restitution. What happened to the fire and brimstone that we heard from the Democrats? Well, it's simple. The prosecutor's case, much like a cheap tent in a storm, was flimsy. Now, I must say, I firmly believe Sidney Powell is innocent. The whole case smells more like leftover political takeout than legitimate concerns of justice. But who am I? Or who are you in the eyes of the Fulton County juror? Certainly not people who can spot a politically motivated charade when we see one. No, ladies and gentlemen, the jury pool there is not an ocean of impartiality, but a swamp of political bias waiting to devour anyone even remotely associated to Donald Trump. And let's not forget the financial guillotine hanging over one's neck in such trials. This kind of trial is one that can drain your life savings faster than a casino. Fulton County's DA, they knew this. They played their cards, threatening a trial lawyer like a Tolkien trilogy. And for what? To twist arms in the pursuit of a plea deal. Classic move, and highly unethical, may I add, coming from an oh-so-virtuous of prosecutors. And here's another juicy tidbit. These prosecutors are scared. They don't want this circus in court. Why? Because every witness they call is a potential loose thread in their narrative, a narrative they're trying to sell in the courtroom bazaar. The last thing they need is for any revelation to undermine the sanctity of their witch hunt against Donald Trump. Now, on to the media's latest fiction. Sidney Powell, the double agent turning on Trump. Pundits are salivating over this, claiming that Powell will sing like a canary against Trump. So we got all the big guns out there coming out and everybody else is following. We got CNN saying how Sidney Powell's guilty plea may impact Donald Trump. What the hell do they know what's going to impact Donald Trump? They don't know anything. There's Reuters, ex-Trump lawyer Sidney Powell pleads guilty, could testify in Georgia case. Was she actually a Trump lawyer? Was she ever really on the team? She was on stage with Giuliani and Jenna Ellis, but she never said she was a part of the Trump team. New York Times chimes in with Sidney Powell's plea deal could be a threat to Trump. Wishful thinking. And not to be undone, the Washington Post retards say, what could Sidney Powell testify to now that she's pleaded guilty? It's remarkable, isn't it? But here's the reality. Powell's plea is as narrow as the minds concocting those theory headlines. It's confined to a specific incident in Coffee County. It doesn't implicate Trump. And it certainly doesn't catapult her to star witness status in a blockbuster trial against the former president. As for the infamous White House meeting and other interactions, they're the equivalent of discussing traffic weather during a hurricane report. Nothing new, nothing incriminating, just a lot of noise with little substance. What they're doing is what they've always done with Trump. They lie and make up sensationalized headlines about Trump so that people get the idea, oh, he's just an evil guy. Look at this. And Powell's going to get him because we know that Trump did something wrong. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, Powell was essentially a free agent post-November 2020. Her legal voyages were separate from the Trump group. So the idea that she's holding some smoking gun, well, that's more fantasy than fact. Finally, concerning the RICO charges against Trump, let me make this abundantly clear. Powell's cooperation isn't the linchpin. The charge itself is like a hydra. It doesn't live or die by Powell's involvement. The indictment is a veritable Christmas tree of acts they believe furthered this so-called conspiracy independent of Sidney Powell. So the notion that Powell is suddenly the state's ace in the hole against Trump, it's nothing more than wishful thinking by those desperate to keep the former president in the legal crosshairs. Sidney Powell's plea deal isn't the opening act of Trump's legal drama. It's a sideshow, a distraction in the political theater we've all become too familiar with. All right, so make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't already and share our videos with like-minded friends. Stay informed, stay vigilant, always remember to read between the lines. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.
Ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do